Okay, my Straight Talk family, let's keep moving on. It's time for another edition of Straight Talk, and time for me to say a very pleasant evening to you, my Straight Talk family, wherever you are in St. Kitts and Nevis, and wherever you are throughout the entire Caribbean region. To my Straight Talk family in the Kittitian and Division diaspora, there's some of you in Africa, there's some of you in Asia, there some of you in Europe, and there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I'm at liberty to say good night. I will say good morning, and I will also say good evening, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. And for the first timers, and I want to thank you, my Straight Talk family, for sharing the link and apprising people, getting them aware that this program is on every Monday and Thursday night from 8 in the PM, or from 8 to 10 in the PM, I should say. And we welcome all. We welcome all, and in particular the first timers, and for the first timers, we just want to inform you that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, we do have a forum to express yourselves freely. Let's, in the process, let us try to get St. Kitts and Nevis back to that enviable position of being number one, or being one of the freest countries in the entire world. On this program, we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liebert, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And as your host, I want to re-emphasize and recommit as well to remaining an untiring advocate of truthfulness. Nothing, absolutely nothing is watered down in any way, whether by omission or by exaggeration, to make this program more interesting. We are not in that kind of business. In other words, Straight Talk is not about being sensational or creating excitement at the expense of accuracy, because I consider it, seriously, I do consider it my duty to always present the unvarnished truth, the plain truth, my Straight Talk family, especially when it comes to governance in my beloved country. My Straight Talk family, I am getting quite a lot of young boys and girls too on the program, particularly the young men. And there's some who don't want to be called out, but I must hail young Dwayne, I must hail Tristan, I must hail Shamar Woods there in Frigate Bay, to Kevin Hanley over there in Nevis. And I hail you all, my young brigade, I call them. And I want to say a happy birthday to us, that special lady in St. Louis. Everybody keep asking, who is this special lady? We will meet her someday, I promise you. But she's celebrating a birthday today, so let us wish her a happy birthday. And on a sad note, my Straight Talk family, the Federation has lost one of its centenarians in the soul of Mrs. Agnes Kelsick, what am I saying? In the soul of Mrs. Agnes Kelsick. To many, she was known as Aunt Aggie, and the mother of Charles and Lynn Wilkin, Elizabeth Kelsick, and grandmother of Garth Lucian Wilkin, Justin, and Shannon Harley, and the entire family, Wilkin family. We want to extend condolences to the entire family of Mrs. Agnes Kelsick. We also extend condolences or sympathy to the family, in particular the wife and children of Apostle Bishop Dr. Joseph Henville of the Faith Tabernacle Church of God. And I've known, I call him Pastor Henville, Apostle Henville, Bishop Henville now, since his days down at Coadjas on the Bay Road. That's how long I've known him, and we've always greeted each other whenever we met, whether in church or on the outside of church. But we've sadly learned that he's gone to the great beyond. We know the Faith Tabernacle Church of God in Old Road or Virtual, just right next or nearby the Virtual's playfield and the Catholic Church. I have also learned of the passing of, I've been trying to get his correct name. We call him Tilly. Some people call him Tilly Lamp. But we understand that he too has gone to the great beyond, and all those who have left us, or the departed souls, the departed souls, we trust that all the departed souls may rest in eternal peace. And as I normally say, we can say anything, but you know, I always like to say it. It may sound repetitious, but Jimmy Cliff once said, "Who feels it knows it." So, for those of you who have lost loved ones, we can say anything to you, but you are the one who feels it, and you are the one who knows it. So, all I can say, if this is any comfort to you, and I should, the words and the fact that death is a process. We normally have our observations in review as well before we go into our thesis. And just to inform you that our thesis for tonight is Mark Brantley, the biggest hypocrite in St. Kitts-Nevis. And we will get to the details, but we will dispense of the observation in review. That's the time when we highlight the issues of the day, or the reflections. We do some reflection. We may then ask a few questions, such as what was accomplished, how has it helped others, important, what has changed since, what can be expected next, and what new we have learned as a people, because it's a learning process. We promote CPD, I call it, the continuing professional development, and we're never too old to learn, you know, no matter what some people may pretend and try to impress us that they are like the bulbs, you know, some of them have more degrees than a thermometer. I remember hearing the former Deputy Prime Minister, Michael Powell, referred to a certain politician back then as one who had more degrees than a thermometer. That has always stayed with me, my Street Dog family. But in our first observation tonight, I wish to state once again that in recent times I confess publicly that Dwyer Astafan and I have been at variance on so many occasions, and I know Dwyer from a long time. We go back a long way. But just last week, I agreed with some comments that he made. And a few days ago, however, Dwyer gave us what I call a mixed diet of information, which to me was in some part healthy and part unbalanced, that included some very irresponsible statements, which I thought was headline grabbing, no doubt, but so sensational instead of being factual. Dwyer made, for example, this erroneous proposition as if he was under the influence of some mind-altering substance. And he said something about Leclanche. And Leclanche is the only publicly traded pure-play energy storage company in the world, and is listed on the Swiss Stock Exchange as a world-leading provider of high-quality energy storage solutions. Now, the Swiss company signed a PPP, we call it a Public-Private Partnership Agreement with Skelec under the Team Unity Administration to construct what was anticipated will be the largest solar energy plant in the entire Caribbean region. And this is what Dwyer said about Leclanche.
The Swiss solar plant, the immediate past administration signed this deal. And it seems that the present administration is finding it difficult to tear up the contract and to tell the people to take a hike. It is a terrible deal. When the present administration entered office, they engaged the Swiss company in discussion. I'm told that during those discussions, the price went down from over 70 million US dollars to about 35 million US dollars. Reduced by half, if that information is correct. I'm only asking, this is what I'm told. If so, into whose pockets would that extra 36 million US dollars have gone? So if all of that is true, then the revelation that the price has gone down from 71 million to 35 would be enough for the present government to say, goodbye, tear up the contract, we're done.
And you hear his language, if that is true, if. And I learned that if introduces the conditional. And in this case, I would say condition to be truthful. But all I can say, the comment there from Dwyer is pathetic, pitiful, and really, really sad. And this is what I spoke to or referred to as the unbalanced diet, in parts. I have known Dwyer for ages and never heard him utter such irrational propositions. And I'm concerned about him. After all, in spite of our past variances, I consider him my friend. Still my friend. Now, I won't deal with his entire diet tonight, as this or that will absorb too much time on the program. But I commit to deal with whatever remains that I did not touch in subsequent episodes. And Dwyer also tried to misguide the country about the cost of the second cruise pier. And this is what he said.
The second cruise pier at Bastia is said to have been estimated in the beginning at $40-something million. And I am told ended up at over 60 million US dollars. You're looking at 14-15 million US dollars extra That's about nearly 40 million EC dollars. That has to come from the public purse, whether directly or through SCASPA. Don't you think you have a right and a responsibility to get the details of the operations and expenditures of that project? Isn't it your money that was spent and is being spent and will be spent for years to come to pay off for that project? Why do all of these things end up costing much more than originally estimated? Why? Not a little bit more, much more.
And the people, yes, he's right. The people have a right to know the facts. So for the records, I want to advise you tonight that, just for the record, my Straight Dog family, I must advise you tonight that the value of the second cruise pay contract was US $43,232,000. And the contract was awarded or signed between CCC, the Canadian Commercial Corporation, and its subcontractor JVD as subcontractor, as I said. The percentage of the work done was just about 97 or 98%, if my memory serves me right. And 95%, sorry, and 95% of the claim was paid. And the value of the work paid to date was $42,860,033.65. So $42,860,000 is less than the contract sum that was paid. As a matter of fact, SCASPA refused to pay retention monies amounting to $1.3 million US dollars, as the dredging was not completed by CCC JVD. For that reason, SCASPA agreed to an independent verification of the berthing pier for 2 Oasis-class ships, as CCC JVD decided to pursue this issue via arbitration, which was allowed under clause 20.1.6 of the contract. And in summary, there was a US $15.2 million claim submitted by the contractor for unforeseeable physical condition and an additional claim for force majeure of approximately $1.2 million, among others amounting to approximately 30%, imagine that, of the contract sum. Now, the successful result of the arbitration was made public, my Straight Dog family, by then Minister Lindsey Grant, or Lindsey Grant, some people would say, who actually succeeded me as minister with responsibility for the port after I lost in 2020. Here's what Lindsey Grant said to the nation in response to a question asked at one of the Prime Minister's press conferences.
If I understand your question, it is with regards to the second cruise pier. It had been a matter that has been tied up in arbitration. The arbitration was between the SCASPA and CCC, that's the Canadian Corporation. In a nutshell, at the end of the arbitration, the matter was decided by the arbitrators out of London that the repair work must have been done by CCC. Efforts to succeed on the claim, they did put in a claim for something in the region of, I think it was $17 million, which is say SCASPA owed them for work that they had done. In the arbitration said no, they are not owed.
So yes, they lost the arbitration. But Dwyer Astafan obviously is still bitter. He's bitter, but the taxpayers of this country ought to be happy. Because I stood up even when they wanted to negotiate. I said, no, I'll go to the arbitration. And if we lost, which I know we would not lose, I would be able to stand in this country, look everyone in their eyes and tell them why I stood up. Because no foreign company will come to this country and rip this country off. So the taxpayers of this country ought to be happy that the client of Dwyer Astafan failed in raping SCASPA over $200 million on a US $43 million pier. Yes, if Dwyer denies that, I will publish his indicative term sheet. But Dwyer has fabricated that commentary, and if he had any decency, he would rescind his irresponsible statement. I don't expect him to, though, because he always just talk about allegations. Allegations are not fact. But one thing is sure, and one thing is fact, is that every cruise ship captain that calls at Port Sante wants to use this new cruise pier. And all of them say this. All of the captains say this, my Straight Dog family.
It is very nice. The new pier is very wide, and it is much better actually than the previous one. And it's a very nice construction. And for us, from the marine side of view, you have enough fenders, enough bollards, nice and safe, with much better angle against the wind also. So congratulations, this is amazing.
So yes, my Straight Dog family, you, the people of St. Kitts-Nevis, must be proud of what we have. One of the few countries in the Caribbean and perhaps in the world that can accommodate 3 Oasis class, 3 of the world's largest ships simultaneously at one time. Dwyer also baffled me with these comments about the F.T. Williams Highway, a project which dates back some 17 years ago. And my Straight Dog family, asphalt roads generally have a lifespan of 7 to 10 years, my Straight Dog family. So when Dwyer made this comment, I was baffled.
Highway. The quality of work on that highway is poor, and it is worst on the roundabouts, particularly those on the eastern and western sides of Gillard's gas station. It's embarrassing. What was the cost of building that highway? You have a right to know and a responsibility to find out. It's your money. Were the contractors fully paid off? And if so, why? Given the terrible quality of work that was delivered. Who supervised that project? Are you satisfied with the project and the supervision? Well, you don't know how much it cost you, but you need to find that out and decide whether you're satisfied with that as well. I don't believe your money was well spent on that project. Scenario number 2, the second cruise pier at Bastille.
And my Straight Dog family, I must state from the onset, so that I won't be misunderstood. The Team Unity Ministry of Public Infrastructure under my watch had already earmarked that stretch of highway for rehabilitation pursuant to completion of the Island Main Road and the Old Road Bay projects. But now that project, I must hasten to also add, was executed under one of the worst ministers of government within the Douglas Labour administration, called Asim Walters Martin, who spent 10 years in health. Remember, he mashed up the JNF, just as Dr. Joe is doing right now. And ironically, there are 2 Cuban-trained doctors, and the only 2 doctors are medical doctors that have been at the helm of the Ministry of Health. So that doesn't really work, judging from Asim's performance and judging from Dr. Joe's performance to date. But at the time of the construction of the F.T. Williams Highway, I was permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Lands, Housing, and Cooperatives and Consumer Affairs, I think it was called back then. But I started the negotiation with the CDB while I was a PS in Public Infrastructure, then called Public Works. So I always showed an interest in this important infrastructure development. And Dwight Astafan was in the cabinet at that time and ought to have known about that road development. So why the sensation, Dwight? That I recall, the initial West Bastille project, road project, proposed a 3.8 kilometer 2-lane highway with roads 6.5 meter wide, 2.5 meter shoulders, 2 junctions, 3 roundabouts, 4 bridges, and road lights. The original plan was estimated at US $7,560,000, which, as I said earlier, was financed by the Caribbean Development Bank. As the project progressed, based on the information I can recall, it became necessary to approach the CDB for additional funding. Thus, in May 2009, the CDB Board of Directors approved an additional loan of some US $6.29 million, following a request from the government to cover an increased cost in the original contract price. So the total CDB loan for the project amounted to $13,850,000. And the increased project scope of work eventually included a second bridge over College Gut, a link road and 2 new roundabouts, one at the Shadowville Junction and the other at the Buckley's Olives Junction. And the list of benefits that have derived from the construction of the F.T. Williams Highway are so obvious. The life of the F.T. Williams Highway spanned about 6 years from the loan agreement, which was actually signed in 2004. And what held it up was there was a social component within that loan which ensured that the squatters over there at, is it Fry's Village? The squatters were given shelter, being able to get land and own land and property. By October 2006, there was a groundbreaking ceremony for the new infrastructure, days before the work on the road began. March 2007 saw the opening of the first portion at the airport area, and December 2008 saw the opening of the eastern portion, and by December 2009, the entire highway was open for general use. So that's 14 years ago. So what is Dwyer now talking about quality and contractor and such nonsense? But Dwyer went back to 2004. Yet he conveniently cannot, my straight dog family, he cannot remember the contract he signed for $54 million of the people's money to construct a golf course at La Valley Greens in Sandy Point. And when asked, Dwyer, where is the golf course? How many of us remember that long green fence that went from Sandy Point all the way down to almost Deep Bay or Newton Ground, somewhere about there, sorry. And when asked Dwyer, where is the golf course? And Dwyer, where the money gone? Dwyer gave us what we call a Ronald Reagan. And this is what all he had to say to date. Listen to Dwyer. He remembers 2004 and the F.T. Williams Highway, but he don't remember this.
Apparently, he wants me to explain to the nation why I, as a minister, signed an agreement. Well, it seems as though he wants me to explain why I signed. I'm told that he said he's not accusing anybody of bubble, but that he was just asking, where's the money? That's what I'm told, right? And I don't remember. But let me say what I have to say. I'm not saying it didn't happen.
Can't say it didn't happen. But someday he'll have to tell us. My second observation, my straight dog family, deals with the flouting of the procurement and contract administration. And my straight dog family, this continues under the Jew Labor Administration. And since taking office, my straight dog family, Dr. Jew appointed one Charmaine Allers as a project manager in the office of the Prime Minister. And $1 million contracts have been executed by that office instead of the Public Works Department. Think about the $8 million for the Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw Museum, and recently the scandalous $5.8 million contract for 1,000 water tanks. The latter contract of $5.8 million, recall, was awarded to Cashley Allers outside of the legal procurement process. And here's where I agree with Dwyer's comments on this project. He said this, my straight talk family, and I concur.
So come clean. People are asking about the water tanks project. They're asking questions about how the process of awarding the contract was pursued. Asking about the pricing, the work being done, etc., etc. I'm not making any accusations, just asking questions, which I as a citizen have the right and responsibility to ask, as do you. The difference between me, myself, and a lot of you is that I ask the questions. I'm not afraid. I've been victimized too. But
my Shazak family, Attorney General Garth Lucien Wilkin has now joined the transgression of the laws and is now using his office to solicit design submissions. My straight dog family. He's now using his office to solicit design submissions. He has sidelined, my straight dog family, he has sidelined the Public Works Department, as you can glean from that request. He ensures no real transparency, Look at his requests. There is no defined scope. He speaks about judges, but no information on these judges and on the criteria. And we don't know if these criteria fit this application. After all, the government is talking about constructing a new judicial complex, my straight dog family. And things ought to be done better than this, my straight dog family. But we'll hear more of that in subsequent programs. And my third observation, hear me out closely, listen carefully. Straight Talk has been following the story of UN Ambassador Nerys Shiverton Dockery, or I should say, former ambassador of the UN, Nerys Shiverton Dockery. I'm not crazy. I say former UN ambassador Nerys Shiverton Dockery, who we were told by Dr. Drew was on vacation. But hear this. News has just come to hand, however, via a friendly permanent mission. You know, the US, in the UN, at the UN rather, we have what we call a CARICOM caucus. So I still have friends within the caucus. I was fortunate to have chaired the caucus for a 3-month period sometime last year. And the friendly permanent mission in New York shared with me this, my Straight Talk family. A friendly mission or permanent mission to the United Nations, beg your pardon, in New York, shared this information, this diplomatic note, SKN 029203, which reads, the permanent mission of St. Kitts and Nevis to the United Nations presents its compliments to all permanent missions and permanent observer missions to the United Nations, and has the honor to refer to diplomatic note number SKN 028-2023, that should be 029 though, and has the further honor to inform that Her Excellency Nerys Nakia Dockery, or Nerys Nakia Dockery's tour of duty has ended. The permanent mission has the further honor to inform that Ms. Ghislaine Williams, Minister Councillor, will act as the charge d'affaires ad interim. The permanent mission of St. Kitts and Nevis to the United Nations avails itself of this opportunity to renew the permanent missions and permanent observer missions to the United Nations the assurances of its highest consideration. And this was signed at New York on October 20th and signed and stamped by the permanent mission of St. Christopher and Nevis to the United Nations, my Straight Talk family. So, Drew has not told us, but we have found out that the tour of duty has ended for Nerys Dockery. And we here at Straight Talk wish her all the best in her future endeavors. We don't know if she has another assignment in government, but the burden is upon the Prime Minister, Dr. Drew, to inform the nation sooner rather than later. A lot of people have said we have not heard from the Minister of Foreign Affairs. But truth be told, it is the Prime Minister who appoints all underline all ambassadors, my straight talk family. But we'll therefore wait further information on this. Can I call it still a developing story? But those are our observations in review tonight, my straight talk family. And I move right into my thesis. And I've titled my thesis, like I said before, Mark Brantley, the biggest hypocrite in St. Kitts-Nevis. And I reflected today when I was putting my thoughts together. I reflected on many, many years ago when a former politician said to me that Kittitians and Nevisians have a 3-day syndrome. And when I asked that former politician for an explanation, I asked him what he meant. He said to me that after 3 days, Kittitians and Nevisians tend to forget. We forget, he says. And every time I see this individual, I normally smile to myself and say, thank God he was never elected, or else St. Kitts and Nevis would have been in problems. And it is in this context, therefore, I titled my thesis tonight, Mark Brantley, the biggest hypocrite in St. Kitts and Nevis. Not because of his undermining my street dog family, not because of his undermining of the late Vance Winkworth Amory, who made him what he is today. Yet he did what he did to Vance Amory. Not because of what he did to undermine team unity, although he said it was the best opportunity for St. Kitts-Nevis, my straight dog family.
Team unity represents the best opportunity for the country of St. Kitts and Nevis to continue the stellar performance that we've had. We are leading, and I want people in St. Kitts and Nevis to get accustomed to that word. We are leading in nearly every facet of human development. St. Kitts and Nevis is ahead of the rest in the sub-region. Economy, human rights, good governance, transparency, low crime, safety and security, you name it, we're leading. It didn't happen by chance. It occurred because you have a team that is dedicated, that is working, that is committed.
And my straight dog family, not because of what Mark Brantley did to entice Sean Richards into believing that he could become Prime Minister in short order. And that surprised me because I sat in a cabinet for 5 years with this snake called Mark Brantley. And Sean never trusted him. They hardly ever spoke. But it is all about Mark Brantley. And his best subject is to abuse people, especially women. Known to ridicule women, yet he speaks so often in glowing terms about Vicky of blessed memory. Then he would segue. He would proceed without pause into his usual diatribe, into a bitter verbal attack against some woman, like this one, my straight dog family.
I went to an event today and I looked around and I saw a particular lady. And the lady used to be a good looking lady. And I say used to be because she faced so vexed that the good look she used to have looked like they've disappeared. And I said to my colleague who was there with me, I said, Lord, watch this woman's face. Face twists up like you need an iron to iron out she face, how she face twists up. But face, when I tell you twist up, you need one of them old goose. That they can't iron out with regular iron. You need a goose to press out she face.
My people, when you listen to that comment, it speaks volumes about a man who wants to lead St. Kitts and Nevis, who wants to be Prime Minister, who is supposedly so intelligent, so bright, but we used to say, but is a conjunction. And many of you tell me what he says about me. But I leave Mark at the foot of the cross as my grandmother, may her soul rest in peace, would always implore me to do. However, I find what I call the Mark Twain theory more appropriate for him. Thus, I would never argue with a fool, as I would have to stoop to his level, and he would beat me with experience. So why should I argue with Mark Brantley? As I'm always, as I said, guided by the Mark Twain theory. But examine my legacy in just 5 years in a team unity administration, in which I led the country's infrastructure development. We surfaced the Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw runway, the entire runway, of over 8,000 feet. Installed brand new solar runway lights, or lighting if you wish to use that word. Rehabilitated the western portion of the apron parking. And 3 taxiways, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. Constructed the storm drains in East Bassettville. And all that rain that fell over the last weekend, George Street, Pond Road, Ponds Pasture, and Frigate Bay no longer flooded. The entire Island Main Road was resurfaced. Old Road Bay showed its resilience, and not one soul would ever die from soil slippage or rock fall across Old Road Bay. Never again in this history, in our world, in our country. Traffic lights were installed that not only modernized Bastille, but also improved the traffic management and safety in Bassettville. The West Bus Line Terminal, my Straight Dog family. The East Bus Line Terminal. And it's sad to say, I must say, it's sad what is happening at the East Bus Line Terminal. And I predicted that. But a few influential bus drivers were too selfish with the systems they wanted to introduce and did introduce at that terminal. The brand new ferry terminal, the brand new cruise pier I just spoke about. Examine the performance, however, of Mark Brantley. Never balanced one budget in all the years he's Premier and Minister of Finance in Nevis. Have not completed one capital project in Nevis. The Mondo track, incomplete. The taxi terminal, I think it's called, incomplete. The hospital expansion, going on for years. And more troubling is Mark Brantley has taken Nevis to the brink of bankruptcy. Nevis public debt has climbed to over $500 million as of July 2023. Not million, $1 billion, my Straight Dog family. And he said this himself. I always provide you the evidence.
Our debt as of July 2023, our total foreign debt stood at $30.8 million. In terms of our domestic debt, that number stands at $449.4 million. When that is combined then with the foreign debt, we have a total NIA debt $480.3 million EC dollars. In terms of government guaranteed debt, and that total public sector debt comes up to $36.7 million. When then you combine the public corporations with the central government debt of $480.3 million, we have a cumulative total debt position of the island of Nevis at this point, that is corporations, of $544.7 million EC dollars. By any measure, it is a significant number.
Yes, a significant number. which would increase, listen closely, to his budget presentation come December. That's why he's like a cologne under Dr. Joe. That will be the legacy of Mark Brantley. And right now he's frightened. He's scared about the threats to our CBI program. And we all should be. And no one is trying to mash up no program. All we are asking for is transparency and accountability, and that is our right and our responsibility. Mark Brantley himself asked for the passport numbers. He did.
Our Prime Minister, for his part, has steadfastly refused to provide any information to our people as to the numbers of passports issued or the countries from whence applicants are being drawn. The Economic Citizenship Program has suddenly emerged as the biggest business in St. Kitts, with well-known friends and associates of the ruling regime enjoying the lion's share of that business. Millions of dollars are being generated for a select few. But I ask you, at what cost to our national pride and our national dignity?
At what cost? He wasn't mashing up the program then. But accountability and transparency together provide safeguards against corruption and help to create government policies that better serve the people rather than simply lining the pockets of government officials, like Mark Brantley. Was Mark Brantley mashing up the CBI when he spoke to the people with ties to organized crime? And we asked him, whose narrative was that, Mark Brantley? Whose narrative was this when you made this utterance?
A Canadian government source said authorities have evidence that people with ties to terrorist organizations and organized crime are using the easily obtained St. Kitts passport to avoid immigration screening. Canadian authorities are concerned that people who wouldn't otherwise be eligible to enter Canada for security reasons could change their names and sneak into Canada using St. Kitts passports. St. Kitts passports applicants can easily change their name, the source said, and the passport doesn't require prior names to be included in the document. The source said the majority of St. Kitts passport buyers are from Syria and Iran, and that questionable individuals have received St. Kitts passports.
The source says, he repeated. Which source? So whose narrative was Mark Brantley peddling back then? Let's take a close look at our CBI. It confers citizenship on virtual strangers, but we are born citizens and have the right to know and the right to ask and the right to make responsible comments. We have a responsibility because citizenship by conferral is a type of citizenship that can be obtained by application as facilitated by our CBI program. And we have a right to know these citizens. And here's where I'm in concurrence with Dwyer-Stefan.
Here's another thing that you need to know, and that is the number of citizenships granted under the CBI program. You have the right to know because you are citizens of this country, and because there are potential dangers if, for one reason or another, a mass of these CBI citizens decide to come home to St. Kitts-Nevis to live and to work. As it is, you are already getting pushed around, displaced and marginalized by people coming in here from foreign lands who are not citizens.
My straight dog family, citizenship by conferral, as I said, is a type of citizenship that confers the right to participate fully in economic life and confers a number of political rights and privileges. So how could anyone be mashing up the program by asking questions? At the political level, the allegations related to the integrity of our CBI program can harm confidence in our own institutions and a possible additional erosion of mutual trust between member states in our region. Ralph Gonzalez can speak to that. We boast about the oldest, and of course we should. But remember how we started in 1984, my Straight Talk family. The Simmons-Pam NRP administration allowed persons to invest in bonds in the number of US $150,000, which matured, I believe, in 5 or 7 years and were repaid with interest. There was also a real estate option of US $200,000 that could be sold after 5 or 7 years, I think it was. Approved applications in 1984 or approved applicants in 1984 were granted citizenship. But this changed in 2006 when the Denzel Douglas administration introduced a real estate option, and or rather increase, I should say, because there was a real estate option, increase the real estate option to US $400,000. And that's sounded reasonable after some 22 years. But they also introduced, the Denzel Douglas administration, a contribution option of US $200,000 made to the SIDF. That was introduced. Years after this, in what the biggest hypocrite in St. Kitts, Mark Brantley, said, this is what the biggest hypocrite in Bastille or in St. Kitts-Nevis, Mark Brantley, said about the passports.
Our entire citizenship by investment program is now under enhanced scrutiny, and we cannot be surprised if other friendly countries like the United Kingdom and countries in Western Europe follow suit. It must be clear to all that without visa-free access to friendly Western countries, the St. Kitts-Nevis passport loses its value to foreign investors under the citizenship by investment program.
So whose narrative was Mark peddling back then? That was 9 years ago. So why are we at this juncture, we ask? And we ought to be concerned. And that is why we speak. Because it is our right and our responsibility. From the sale of sugar, we turn to the sale of passports. Our citizenship became a commodity. Our passports was used or was sold as this commodity. And we must be worried that the perception of citizenship itself could also be affected. From a policy perspective, the lack of available data on the costs and benefits of our CBI and the uncertainties that it carries over the long term for the economy and our society can constitute an important obstacle for the design and conduct of long-term sustainable policies and for this sustainable island state that is being peddled. With or without preferential treatment for our sugar, the sugar industry failed. Additionally, just because of the increasing cost of production. And if we don't make a fundamental change to this critical program of ours called the CBI, it will also fail. The sale of 37,000 passports plus our natural citizens, if accurate, This will account to almost 50% of our population if they all descend upon St. Kitts and Nevis, my straight talk family. And don't mind Mark when he talks about sensationalism.
St. Kitts-Nevis gave the world the idea. Then Dominica, St. Lucia, Grenada, and Antigua and Barbuda started. All of a sudden, it's the worst thing in the world and we are the worst people in the world. Think about it. There's a certain hypocrisy that attends a lot of this. They said 20,000 passports were issued or something like that in St. Kitts and Nevis. I think it's 27,000 was the number I saw. But I looked quickly and within the European Union, over 800,000 citizenships are granted every year. And I just feel that we need to sometimes stand up, respectfully of course, but to say that is a false narrative that you're spreading. The United States has a program, a lot of people don't know about it, called an EB-5 visa program. Where if you can say to America, I can come in, I'm going to invest X amount of dollars and I'm going to employ, I think, a minimum of 10 people, you get residency in the United States. A lot of people don't know that. You get residency in the United States, and after 5 years of residency, you get your US passport. We need sometimes to have a broad conversation when we start to hear the talk about how many passports and whatever. It's sensationalism.
You think people don't know that the nonsense talk, hear what I said, the nonsense talk about 800,000 citizens in Europe is just that. Dumb talk that makes no sense. Because let's just put things into perspective. My straight talk family. Put things into perspective. And let's just look at the population within Europe, or the Europe population. Look at it. 742 million people, my straight dog family. And that's just a few days ago. As of October 24. And that's based on the latest United Nations estimates, my straight dog family. And the European population is equivalent to 9.32% of the total world population. So we make or try to make these what I call illogical comparisons that just don't add up. Don't add up. Because if you look at 800,000 people, let's say you're accurate, and you may be accurate. And my mathematics, I always say, is one of my strongest weak points. And 800,000 of a population of 742 million people is below 1%. 0.1%, I think, if my mathematics are correct. So we try to make these what I call illogical comparisons that just don't add up. As these countries do not offer direct citizenship programs. Take Canada, for example, my straight dog family. Take Canada. Let's take Canada, for example. And in Canada, there is the Canada residency by investment and the Canada citizenship by investment. And in Canada, citizenship through investment is possible in Canada, but applicants will need a period of residency first before being eligible to apply. So there is no direct Canadian citizenship by investment, but there's the Canada residency by investment. And that investment of Canadian $1.2 million for a period of 5 years. And they are in different provinces, my Straight Dog family. But as I said, there's no direct citizenship or Canadian citizenship by investment. There's a Canada residency by investment, as I said, and a Canada citizenship by investment. And let's look at the US EB-5 visa program, which was alluded to by the big hypocrite. And my Straight Talk family, the US EB-5 visa gives permanent US residency to those investing into government-approved projects across the United States of America. And the investment can be beneficial as it grants access to the US. Yes, my Straight Dog family. And there are certain countries such as China, India, and Vietnam now face lengthy retrogression delays through EB-5, my Straight Dog family. And so these options are entirely different to our option, my Straight Dog family. But there are various scandals that have been unveiled over the last 17 years of our program, shedding more than enough light on the risk of our CBI program, as we are always exposed to and must bear in relation to the integrity of the applicants, money laundering, and corruption. The nature of our CBI will certainly have an impact on the perception of citizenship. The economic logic of target markets like China, Russia, and the Middle Eastern countries has replaced the political foundation of citizenship and has now turned it into a commodity. The global market for citizenship status corrupting our democracy by breaking down the barrier that separates the spheres of money and power. Mark Brantley has no problem in ensuring that a billionaire who buys land in Nevis can land his luxury jet in Nevis, even if that means displacing scores of Nevisians and relocating them from their land. Mark Brantley has no problem if a Russian who acquired citizenship under the CBI attempts to stop the children in Nevis from running on the Penny's Beach. And I can go on, but I'll pause here for now because I tarried long. But in conclusion, it cannot be difficult to say that Mark Brantley is the biggest hypocrite in St. Kitts and Nevis. And that's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. I'll open the lines and entertain now your calls and your emails. When I do so, which I'll do momentarily, I anticipate that you will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in saying and doing those things, let us, my Straight Dog family, strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. It's 12 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. I'll open the lines and entertain your calls, my Straight Dog family. And just for those who may have joined me for the first time, the numbers are 646-829-6672. And our local number is 869-663-6672. You can access that number from overseas as well if you use the area code 869. But we have a direct line for the overseas. 646-829-6672. There are those of you who like to use what I call the cloak of anonymity. You don't want to be heard, so you use or hide behind the keyboard. I ask you, if you take that route, to be cautious with the things that you write, my Straight Talk family. And as that email address as for my email platform is Straight Talk Patches. That's one word, STRAIGHTTALK PATCHES, Straight Talk Patches at gmail.com. And as my emails are piling up, I will try to dispose of them, all of them, and perhaps I'll start with the email tonight. Patches with reference to last Monday night's Straight Talk program on the issues of the CBI passport sale. Remember that it's long time the Labour Party government playing dilly-dally with our passports. You remember, Patches, that they willfully and purposely remove the place of birth from the passport in order to hide and protect criminals, gun runners and money launderers from the FBI. Also remember that when the US discovered their devious behavior and exposed them, Erasmus Williams, the then press secretary to Prime Minister Douglas, called into Win FM radio talk show one day and said it was the US government that instructed the government of the Federation to exclude the place of birth from the passport. Erasmus was not aware that the US Embassy in Barbados was monitoring the Voices program, so immediately the embassy called Win FM and rebutted Erasmus' fabricated story, which was so embarrassing to the Federation. Subsequently, the Labour government shamefully had no other alternative but to reinstate the place of birth field. I remember that very well, my Straight Talk family, and I perhaps will find that as some bite with Erasmus Williams making that erroneous and irresponsible statement back then. Yes, I remember that very, very well, my Straight Talk family. That is so true. As Straight Talk always have the facts. Our Straight Talk family always have the facts, as I said. And this other email reads as well that yesterday I was listening to a commentary by Mr. Asafan on Win FM with Jamster as the host. It was commendable and very intriguing. However, something he said was very striking to me, of which I must comment. He asked what happened to a case where a female officer was molested when Team Unity was in office. Well, Mr. Astafan, I don't know which one of the cases you are referring to, and I hope you are not getting mixed up and forgetful, but I would like to ask you about a similar case when you were the Minister of National Security. Tell us something about the case with a Bajan political strategist brought here by the Labour government and who indecently assaulted a female police officer while on duty one Sunday morning at government headquarters. A criminal investigation was immediately initiated after the officer reported the matter to the CID. Now, Mr. Astafan, I would like you to tell us who gave the police instructions not to proceed to court with the case, and furthermore, instructed that the female officer be transferred to Nevis, where she still is, Let me remind you again, Mr. Asafan, that the said officer brought a civil criminal action against a Bajan offender, which you are aware of. And when the case was called up in the Bastille Magistrate Court for trial, the then DPP rushed into the courtroom and instructed the magistrate to stop the case with prejudice. Therefore, Mr. Astafan, please tell us if this is the case you're talking about, because Team Unity was nowhere in existence at the time. Reads this other email. My Straight Talk family, it gets interesting. Mr. Liber, good evening. Patches, I have seen it all. Dwyer shocked me this morning when I read his commentary. I don't think I need to read that. This emailer wants to get me into trouble. And this emailer has to be careful, or all emailers have to be careful when you are writing these quote-unquote libelous or matters that border on defamation. My Straight Dog family. And I really am disappointed that someone would write this. I trust that you and your family are well, Mr. Liebert. I read the Premier of Nevis's press conference where he was asked 3 questions by the press. In response to the 3 questions, he said, I do not have the name on hand. 2, I'm not really sure what the amount was. I don't want to give inaccurate information. Legal action is being contemplated. 3, I think instructions have been given to initiate legal actions. Reads this other email. My Straight Dog family. My Straight Dog family, I'm dispensing of the emails. Marshall, what stupidness you're talking about? Read this email. I listened to your press conference this morning, and you said that the previous administration leveled a measure of hostility against the cruise ships. That is a complete lie and fabrication, deliberately orchestrated by your Labour government. There's a saying, an aphorism, that says all is well that ends well. The previous administration, you have alluded to, masterfully managed the cruise industry during COVID. When the cruise ships sought permission to dock in St. Kitts after being turned down by other countries in the height of COVID, Team Unity offered them sanctuary here with conditions. At the same time, you and your Labour Party supporters were scornfully kicking up hell against the government's decision. So for you to say that the former administration were hostile to the cruise ships is erroneous, lie, and misleading. In future, if you have nothing sensible, realistic, and honest to say, just shut up and do what you enjoy best. Wasting government money, traveling, joyriding on the pretext that you are or you have to travel to bring the ships. Just remember, you're not fooling anybody except yourselves. My Straight Talk family, it's 9:22. I'll make some time now for my calls. The lines are open. It's 646-829 and or 663-6672. Those are the numbers we can access now, my Straight Talk family. We can access those numbers, 646-829-6672. If you have just joined me, we are looking at our thesis tonight, Mark Brantley, the biggest hypocrite in St. Kitts and Nevis. That's our story tonight. And I made the point, my Straight Talk family, that someone said to me years ago that Kittitians and Nevisians have what he called then a 3-day syndrome. And when I sought clarification, that individual said that we Kittitians and Nevisians, we forget things after 3 days. And my Straight Talk family, I have used that as a point of departure for my thesis tonight. Is in this context, I titled my thesis. And as I made the point, for those of you who just joining me, that I consider him hypocritical, not because of his undermining of the late Vance Winkworth Amory, who made him what he is today. Yet he did what he did to Vance Amory. May his soul rest in peace. Not because of what he did to undermine team unity, although he said that team unity, or with team unity, Nevis had the best opportunity, or team unity created the best opportunity for St. Kitts and Nevis. And these are his words, not my words.
Team unity represents the best opportunity for the country of St. Kitts and Nevis to continue the stellar performance that we've had. We are leading, and I want people in St. Kitts and Nevis to get accustomed to that word. We are leading in nearly every facet of human development. St. Kitts and Nevis is ahead of the rest in the sub-region. Economy, human rights, good governance, transparency, low crime, safety and security, you name it, we're leading. It didn't happen by chance. It occurred because you have a team that is dedicated, that is working, that is committed.
And yes, my Straight Talk family, that's the same man. And not because of what he did to entice Sean Richards, I said, into believing that Sean could become Prime Minister in short order. And as I said, that surprised me. And I would like to ask Sean 101 one day what got to his head. Because I sat in a cabinet for 5 years with this snake called Mark Brantley, who Sean never trusted and never spoke with over those 5 years. But it is all about Mark Brantley, whose best subject is to ridicule and abuse women. That's what he does best, my Straight Talk family. How many of us remember this?
I went to an event today and I looked around and I saw a particular lady. And the lady used to be a good-looking lady. And I say used to be because she faced so vexed that the good look she used to have looked like they've disappeared. And I said to my colleague who was there with me, I said, Lord, watch this woman face. Face twists up like you need an iron to iron out she face, how she face twists up. But face, when I tell you twist up, you need one of them old goose. Because that they can't iron out with regular iron. You need a goose to press out she face.
Please try again.
Okay, I just got advice that my lines are not working. I'm sorry about that, my Straight Talk family. Let's see what I can do to sort that matter out. Someone just told me my calls are going to an automatic voicemail. That's strange. Let's see if I can perhaps shut it down and boot it one more time. But something, let's see what's happening here, my Straight Talk family. I do apologize for that, my Straight Talk family. Someone just said to me that my line is just going to an automatic voicemail. So let's see if I shut it down and reboot it, that would solve the problem. Okay, let me see. But again, I do apologize for that. Those who are trying to get to the program, it seemed to have had some difficulty on the way to me. The Straight Talk family, let's see what's going on here. But in the meantime, the email address is straighttalkpatches@gmail.com. My Straight Talk family. As I try to boot that phone up and see what happens now. But let's see what's happening to my telephone. Let's see what's happening and take the overseas line nonetheless. In the meantime, okay, are you there, caller? Hello, caller?
Yes, your overseas line is working now because I got through.
Thanks for that.
Good night. Good night, one and all. Good night, Patches.
Good night, my brother. How are you?
I'm humble and peaceful. As you always, in my calculation, you reveal the unvarnished truth about things.
Try to.
But if I may elaborate on this matter, the situation with Dwyer Ascafan, how much millions of dollars that he said he can't remember?
About 54.
Who gonna buy that? 54 millions and the job that was deemed to be done, the golf course. How could he not remember 54 million? That 54 million is somewhere in some safety deposit box and without a trail. Because I will not accept the fact that a man has $50 million in his custody and he's going to forget where that money is. He don't remember. There is no memory. And he is in great sane mind. Not insane.
I sometimes hate to interrupt you, right? The facts are that I presented is that he actually physically signed a contract for $54 million. I'm not saying for one moment that I don't want anybody to say that he had it in the safe, right? But
no, I mean,
but I want us to be cautious here, though. You know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He signed. Let's say, and let's agree, he signed a contract, and that cannot be disputed. He signed a contract for $54 million for the La Valley Greens project, but there's no golf course. There's nothing there that will reflect $54 million was spent down there. Okay, I'm sorry again to interrupt you, but I wanted us to be clear on that.
I got that. So was that $54 million used to do anything, or it is where it should have been? And should that be under the Procurement Act?
Well, I would like Ascafan himself to explain it, because what's one thing about that, additional thing about that $54 million, he signed as minister with responsibility for the Frigate Bay Development Corporation. And the Frigate Bay Development Act prescribes the area, which is Frigate Bay. So how he got to Sandy Point, I just don't know. That's some other things he has to explain. There's so many things he'll have to explain. No wonder he gives us the Reagan. He don't remember.
But what caused me to think now is when these matters arise Who is investigating? The government will not investigate the government, or it will just go untold and it's just a whitewash. I mean, so many things happening in St. Kitts which come under corruption, and no one is investigating, no one is giving an account. The people need to know, because all these monies that are involved belongs to the people. It doesn't belong to the government ministers sitting there collecting a sure paycheck. And what are the benefit of these programs, especially when they are not happening? And the benefit is the money. Strike that, stick a pin in that. I'm going to jab two questions in one. The other thing is, I just lost it. Anyway, I will hang up on that. I will remain with the question that I asked about that $54 million contract. Thank you. I'll call again. But your lines are open. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. My local line, though, I've been having some difficulty. I do apologize. I do apologize for that. I don't know why it's my local lines are not is not rather is not functioning. My bad though. It's an oversight. Perhaps we should have actually done something about that. But nonetheless, my Straight Talk family, the show goes on. I do apologize for my local callers there. We and for that difficulty. But we are looking again, my Straight Talk family, at the biggest hypocrite in St. Kitts and Nevis. But what we'll do is take some of your emails in the meantime, my Straight Talk family. And this email reads, Mark Brantley. Okay, there goes my lines now. Thanks. And God is a good God. Caller, you're live. Thanks a lot. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller? Are you there, caller?
Mr. Padgett, good night.
Yes, my brother, good night. How about thou?
Well, every time I call here, your call cannot be. This is a message from Flo. Your call is anything.
Yes, there's some difficulty.
Listen here tonight to me. It is a good thing to give God thanks and praise, Mr. Padgett. I am going to read from Psalms 101 Psalms. And verse 6. My eyes shall be upon the faithfulness of the Lord, that they may dwell with thee. He that walketh in peaceful way, he shall serve me. Verse 7. He that worketh deceitful shall not dwell with thee. With he that worketh deceitful shall not dwell within my house. He that telleth lie shall not tarry in my sight. Now, I am going to say something here tonight. The Lord is saying in Psalm 101, when you tell liar, do not dwell in his house. When you deceitful, you are not going to dwell in his house. But when you tell lies, you're going to get cut off. So, God is watching. I am warning people that speak the truth. The word of God says in Proverbs chapter 6. You read it yourself. I wonder if people do not want to talk the truth. What is it to tell a liar? And you know, when you tell a lie, it's going to come back to haunt you. Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. He said in the word, be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever man soweth,
So shall he reap.
shall we also reap. When you do these things, Mr. Patches, they ain't doing it for nobody. They're doing it for themselves. Mr. Patches, you have a pleasant night here. And I am going to say it again. Psalm 24. He said, when you have a clean hand and pure heart, you shall dwell with God. But if you tell lie, in Psalm 101, you're going to get cut off.
Okay.
So, have a pleasant night, Mr. Patrick.
Have a pleasant night as well, my dear brother, the Bible man, and I thank you for that. I see what's happening here with my telephone. Let's see what's happening here. Let's go back to the lines. Are you there, caller? Hello, caller, are you there? Okay. Yes, caller, are you there?
Yeah, good night, Patrick.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm here. Turn off that. You got me, Patches, right?
Yes, I'm having some difficulties, but I got you.
Thank God. Patches, don't be surprised if your telephone system is messed with it, because that is the norm now in St. Kitts. What happened now, they're doing to landline. You know, landline you pay once per month. And when your month end come, when your time come to pay, you have a little time over. A little time over to make up that. And if you don't pay, they cut you. And that is procedure around the world. But nowadays, you on the landline, whether you call somebody or somebody call you, about 10, 11, 12, 13 minutes, bloop, your phone cut out. And then you have to redial again. So that is the norm now they're doing. And I believe all that is happening because the home base is not in St. Kitts. is out in one of them OECS countries. So they're doing as they like. Anyway, let me go here, Patrice. I would like to say to all women in St. Kitts-Nevis, and whether you live in St. Kitts-Nevis and you're from here, or you're a woman, have no respect for the snake in Nevis, because everybody comes from a woman. And no man, nor a woman have no right to this, especially man. No man have no right to degrade and humiliate woman like how that snake, Mr. Brantley Nevis, this degrade the woman, talking about him on face one, the goose. It's disrespectful to woman. So if he could say that about the woman, and any woman supporting him, the worse than them were being crossed out long ago. Now let me go to the golf course now, Mr. Golf Course, Mr. Otley Jesus. You're gonna tell me he can $54 million he signed his signature to, and he can't remember?
Yeah, I remember now.
No, he can say, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I can't remember. It didn't happen. You're technically playing technical.
That's it, it's true.
He coping to see if you won't call his name where you're not supposed to call it, so he could get in the court. But he don't know, and you tongue you from, and you smart too. Well, let me tell this now. Let me come to Mr. Lawyer now. King Lawyer, Dr. Joe, the Prime Minister. All people say, too smart, dead, one smart do. And he believe he's so smart, that he too smart, that he don't know the EU set a trap, don't mute for him, because the EU and the FBI and Scotland Yard, they don't sprint. They don't run marathon because they got endurance. And they're not going to let you get out of the eyesight. So the EU treading behind him all the time when he telling the Lord them Bob and weaving that he don't know, he don't answer how many passports he sell. But the EU got the EU watching him. And as soon as you reach on the trap, he drop in, EU say, the EU say, come out, man. You too smart, but there's one smart we be. And we got you, so you can't get away from this. The EU bust the bag with the information what he's trying to hide in the passport vault. The vault of information, freedom of information, and he lock up the information in the vault. He don't want to say how many passport, because no, definitely, the amount of passport he sells since India, and he was criticizing the farmer administration. He passed the farmer administration with the selling of the passport, and he doing worse than anything else, and he shame to tell all the questions asked to him about that. But anyway, Patrice, I will come back, man. I got another little short piece, so I hope I get the time to say.
Okay. Thanks.
Call out the overseas number for who can't get in, and the local, they could get it. Thank you, Patrice.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. And the overseas number, it's do have access. Just for information, you can access 6468296672 via WhatsApp. That as the overseas number, it has a WhatsApp access as well. So those of you having difficulty with our local line, let's go to the lines. Caller, I want to thank you for holding your line. Hello, caller.
Yes. Yeah, Mr. Lywood, how are you doing tonight, man?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. Peaceful myself, man. Yeah,
Mr.
I just wanted to call in because, it seemed like you was having problems with the lines.
My local line, but the overseas is okay, but the local one seemed to give me some trouble here.
Yeah, that's why let me call in, man, to, keep you going. Anyway, the Minister of Tourism, I was concerned, when I saw that press briefing today. This was just a personal observation that I made. It seems like she was out of it, in a way, to me. I don't know if, she was not feeling herself, but somebody need to maybe make a call and make sure she's all right. Anyway, to your callers, just remember, man, it's not difficult, for us to maybe take a pencil and a piece of paper and jot down our points. That way we don't forget our points, you know, because we need the maximum participation. You know what I mean?
Yes, my brother.
That's just a you know, side. That's just a little like, you know, homekeeping side note, man. I hope persons might not get offended to that to that at all.
Okay, my brother.
But anyway, man, my biggest thing tonight is that CBI program, man. You know, we need that transparency. You know what I mean? This is public information that needs to be out to the citizens of the country. You know what I mean? I don't know why it's such a big secret, man, for these statistics to come out. But the EU nation who's steadfastly trying to, you know, maybe close this program down or whatever, they're gonna go to the lengths to get the information. And we are seeing all of these reports coming out now, and you know, these reports can't be all wrong, man. You know what I mean? It must be have some degree of truth to these information, these reports. You know, and going forward, man, me honestly speaking, I don't like what I see happening in the Federation, bro. Not at all, not one bit. The place is too corrupted, and nobody's being held accountable. The lawyers, them, act like they're a brotherhood. They have a brotherhood going on, and the politicians, them, doing the same thing. It's all about the status. Once these guys get this particular status, they move away from the grassroots and the local and the common people. You know, and that's where they go wrong. You know, the biggest thing with the CBI, we don't have the transparency, and we see what's going on right now in Israel and Palestine, and we talking about the CBI program, and the government is not reacting. Therefore, the people need to step up and take things in their hands, bro, and go in the street and protest, man. The people in St. Kitts-Nevis, they need courage, man. They need a new strong leader to come up. They need a birth of a new strong leader. I don't know if it's going to be a young or old leader, but the place seems like it needs a birth of a strong leader. It needs a birth of a strong leader or a strong party to move the country into that direction. Because this class situation is going to run St. Kitts-Nevis into problems. It's all good that a lot of people is coming up with these commentaries and stuff and talking what they're talking, but it's already happening in front of our eyes. Things is drastically changing in St. Kitts-Nevis, and it's not going in favor of the common man. It's not going in favor of the common man. It's going in favor of these rich people who got the money and the status. You know, those are the only people who are going to be able to survive in a society like what's being created. The creation of a society is already started in St. Kitts-Nevis, and is happening through the CBI program. Believe it or not. The average man needs to pay attention, man. Believe it or not. But the class system that's going to be created is going to put the Federation in big problems later on with race relationship. You know what I mean? The common man is boxed in from both directions. They're boxed in from the inflation that's happening and, you know, being shut out of having access to such things as lands and stuff like that in their own community. But that's where I will say for now, and I'll keep it there for now, man. All right, I got a lot to say all the time, a lot on my mind. But me personally, you know, I can't get to come home and participate. You know, that Bryan clause, somebody got to get that Bryan clause out of that Constitution, bro. When they get that removed, then I'll be able to hold on to my American passport and come home and run for politics in my own country. Thanks a lot, man, and you guys have a good night.
Thanks a lot, my brother. I understand your pain, my brother. Thanks a lot for your intervention. Always speaking about that clause. Well, the clause really don't allow dual citizenship. Those with dual citizenship cannot serve in Parliament. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Thank you. I'm getting in just now too. But coming back to the second question and observation that I was going to give when I said I forgot, I'm touching the CBI program also. I think the CBI program should be temporarily suspended. Because I think it should temporarily suspended because if the facts of that amount of passport being sold, what is yet to be sold then will outnumber the true citizens of the Federation, and that's problematic. Plus, what is the local people, the real citizen benefiting from this program? They don't even inquire, and there is not even a bulletin to let them know, okay, the CBI bring in X and X of money, not because there are no transparency. And how does citizens benefit from the CBI program? They are not getting anything. Okay, it should have been like an investment for the people. At least give everybody free health care. At least give every constituency leader, whether they are opposition or they're for you. Give each constituency leader a budget for their constituency. Increase the value of cut down on the poverty rate. The poverty rate could be cut down with the CBI, but people home is still struggling. They are still struggling. A can of sardine costs $6, $8, $9, $10. Okay? They are not benefiting. Give the social program and the people who should be qualified for the social program something better. Just something to sustain their belly. Because when a man hungry, it's not nice. And people home are suffering. You hear they are in poverty. They are in poverty, and I believe they're in poverty. The CBI program is not benefiting the people of St. Kitts. Only those who are responsible for it because they show of a paycheck coming in from the CBI. So as far as I'm concerned, the CBI program should be temporarily stopped until it could be defined in a much proper. Thank you.
Are you aware, caller, that the CBI accounts for over 50% of our revenue we collect?
Yes. I'm not.
So when we fix our roads from revenue, without going to the bank for CDB or any place for a loan, it comes from the CBI.
I'm not saying it must be stopped. I'm saying it should be temporarily stopped until it is much defined because it's too much corruption in the CBI program.
Okay.
Plus, it's running us in problem with the European Union.
Okay.
Because you're just selling the passport for who got the money, what kind of investigation? And there is one problem right now. Those people who you mentioned had invested for the CBI program, and now their situation has been revoked. They need their money back. How are they going to get back their money? Is that money being used? Mm-hmm. The people have to get back their money. If they put the money in it and you cancel out that application. What if they use it and they don't have it to give it back? So how that going to be? Kittitians could be under attack. You know why? Because just like Hamas in Palestine, Gaza, okay, there could be revenge because that person, whatever country they're from, suppose them be a Kittitian, your government take my money and they can't get it back, okay? Here's a Kittitian, and hold your hand. Anything could happen because it's a bad move. Temporarily stop it because it is no use to the Kittitians. They are not benefiting nothing. I could understand whatever is made and whatever is there. It's not even utilizing to the maximum to benefit the infrastructure. Just some. And it's pure lies in St. Kitts with all these ministers. They too damn lie. Okay? They're covering up. And what is hard in being transparent? All right, Patches. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, my dear brother. Mark Brantley, what you balling for now and cursing the countries of the world that has predicted a bleak future for the Federation CBI? Blame yourself, man. Read this email. Remember, you are the one who touted to the world that Harris was selling thousands of St. Kitts-Nevis passports to Chinese to build a jail in St. Kitts. You, Mark Brantley, set the countries of the world on us, watching our CBI with an eagle eye, and now you want to blame them, talking about fair share. Look what you still not getting it from Dr. Joe. You're now slightly changing your mind about fair share and saying that whatever the Prime Minister share in St. Kitts, it will be shared in Nevis. What nonsense you're talking? Why we Nevisians telling me Nevisians, boy, face the facts and admit that you are a failed leader and it is time for you to leave the political stage. Reads this email. This other email reads, Patches, good evening. Well, Samal has striked again. Patches, you heard about the small business grant Samal has just given out to 40 small business owners? Imagine Samal has handpicked 40 small business owners to give them $5,000 as a booster to their business, and 80% are government workers. 70% are old road people, and the other is a shocker again for the people of the Federation. His permanent secretary to agriculture, his mother has gotten that very grant. Patches, that ain't bad enough. The daughter of Cashley has gotten the same grant. You mean to say Cashley and his daughter are not letting nothing at all from this government pass their hands and eyes? My God, what a thing. Patches, I'm not going to lie. Some of these persons really deserve the booster, but some of them we know don't have any business, like the traffic warden from down Middle Island. She has nothing to offer to the Federation. That $5,000 she got is politics money. Somehow you need to get it together. Stop helping people because of politics. Patches, go to the NIS Facebook page. You see the news and photos about this. Have a good night. Read that email. And this email reads, Patches, there have been so many robberies of business places over the past few months, including one at Old Road on Monday. But yet up to this day, we can hear not a word of the protests or concern coming from the Chamber of Commerce. No wonder why very little is done to bring a halt to these robberies. Come on, Chamber, we need to hear you or hear your voice on this very serious situation. Patches, these government ministers are nothing but a bunch of comedians. Last year, the Labour government benefited from the hard work of the unity government, but the Minister of Tourism tried to take the credit. Now, a year later, when there's a big fall off of cruise ships coming to our shores, the Minister and advisor now want to blame the unity government. What a bunch of comedy makers, reads this email. And this other email reads, Good night, Mr. Liebert. As always, thank you for keeping us informed. My comment tonight is that it's funny how, when you speak about money spent in the country, you give specific amounts. Dr. Drew, Mark Brantley, Mr. Asafan and others always say things like 20-some $million, 40-something $1 million. Mr. Badges, please remind them there is no such amounts as 20-something dollars, etc. dollars. Mark Brantley is such a disgrace to the men of the country. He should bow his head in shame for the comment about the lady. Thank you, Mr. Liebert, for always being transparent. Be blessed, Mr. Liebert. Thank you as well, emailer. Good night, Patches. The press conference today was so on target. Timothy Harris hit some serious points and exposed the dirty corruption that Jew and Labour are doing every day. It's a burning shame that they take up $8 million plus to build a museum for a dead Bradshaw while the ultra-poor class got thrown off the pap. Talk to things, Timothy. And by the way, where is Sean and Pam to address the high-day corruption of Jew and Labour? They are robbing the treasury. People of St. Kitts, Jew and Labour are trifling our money. Every time they give their friends these big contracts, they take up $5 million plus. No procurement to buy some big buckets to store water, while Cashley Allers and his daughter smile to the bank. Wake up, people. Wake up, Team Unity. We have inherited the worst government ever, reads this email. Patches, did you listen to the PLP press conference this afternoon? Well, Harris blazed and exposed Dr. Joe. Pile of lies he has been spreading about the development bank and not telling us the whole story that involves Mark in Nevis and how much the Nevis administration owes the said bank. Thank you, Dr. Harris, for that remarkable presentation along with Craig Tuckett and Wendy. They were superb to the extent where the Prime Minister has found himself under a blaze of fire and has announced that he will be on Freedom Radio tomorrow afternoon. I wanted to say what? That Harris, little boy Joe, you have no credibility. We don't need to hear you. Straight Talk family. I'll take this final email. Patches, good evening. JNF is a place of death. Every day somebody died at JNF because of carelessness and mismanagement. A young lady lost her life today in the ICU. Patches, the hospital is so run down. Everyday nurses calling sick and doctors are demotivated. They got upset when Dr. Wilson said what she said, but people are dying in droves at the hospital. The place of death, JNF, keeps killing our people. And my Straight Dog family, as we wind down tonight's programming, and as somebody asked me for a sound bite, and I'm trying to find it, having some difficulty. But as we wind down tonight's programming, my Straight Dog family, we spoke tonight on the thesis, Mark Brantley, the biggest hypocrite in St. Kitts and Nevis. And my Straight Dog family, we made the point that Brantley, when he was criticizing the said CBI, nobody said he was spreading the narrative of any foreign country. But he wants to make the point now that people are spreading the narrative of the European Union countries. But my Straight Dog family, the facts are the facts. And our CBI program needs to be fundamentally changed. There need to be, as the pundits would say, a paradigm shift in the way we do things under the CBI. Because my Straight Talk family, the CBI confers citizenship on virtual strangers. And when I say conferral is a type of citizenship that can be obtained by application as facilitated by our program. And we do have a right to know. We do have a right to know what's going on with the program. How many citizens are out there with our passports? where they're from. How many Chinese? How many Russians? How many folks from Ukraine? From Belarus? Are these Ukrainians going to come to St. Kitts when they can get out of their country and run away from the war? My Straight Talk family, citizenship that confers the right to participate fully in economic life and confers a number of political rights and privileges is what we are having in the country. But as we wind on, I'll take this and perhaps make this my final call for the night. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller?
Yeah, Patches. I wanted to get back in, man, and follow up on that caller, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the CBI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, suspending might be an idea, but what I feel is because of the chatter about the CBI, it could potentially create demand. So in my mind, they should probably hike up the price for is that the call, contributions or the price for the passports.
Mm-hmm.
They should either put it back to pre-levels or hike it up higher than that. You know, triple the price on that amount or something, like increase the price so that we will probably find out if these persons really want to get this passport or not. Like, you know, hike the price up to create the vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, you know, suspending it, is an idea as well. But, you know, this is my idea right here. Increase the price on the price for the passports.
Okay.
And differently than that, the government is too reactionary, man. They're not proactive in the information. You know, look at the information you're bringing out tonight about the ambassador. You know what I mean? The government haven't said if the ambassador is totally fired or what. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know, they're bouncing around with this information. They're slide winding around this information. I know that the caller that named Culture, you know, I want to bring him back to the days when he was in St. Thomas. I know you remember the guy down there, a guy named Brownie that used to be on the radio station, and he had a thing going. He had a thing where he had a slogan named "Slide Wine." You know, so I want to try that slogan out tonight, man. Slide wine. The Prime Minister is slide whining around the questions about the CBI. They slide whining around the questions. Okay. Him and whoever other ministers that don't like to be truthful and forthcoming with the information. Let them keep slide whining. It's going to cost them in the next election. Okay. Remember, one seat and then Labour is capsided. Believe it or not.
Okay.
We got to pay attention. And what I don't like about them, even the minister today, she still went back and talked about when the country was open. They got to remember, we was under a health scare, a pandemic. There were certain guidelines and rules that you had to follow. You couldn't just drastically open up. You know what I'm saying? The country was open up when it was open up, following the guidelines at that point.
True.
You know what I mean? We got to remember this was a pandemic, man, once in 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
But if they keep looking back and driving and looking in the rearview mirror, they're gonna run into themselves into a problem because this world is a futuristic world.
True. We
got to be looking forward like 10, 20, 50 years ahead. If they keep looking in the rear view mirror, they're at a big disadvantage. Really and truly, like, if you look in the rear view mirror 5 years back, man, you're withdrawn from this world like about 40, 50 years. Progressive countries are looking like 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Yep.
You cannot be looking in the rear view mirror, man. You got to get out of that rear view mirror and start governing and looking forward.
Okay.
But anyway, man, thanks a lot, man. You know, you enjoy your weekend. Have a good night, man.
Have a good weekend as well. Thanks for your interventions. I want to apologize to this caller. Caller, are you there? Are you there, caller? Are you there, caller?
Hello.
Yes, I want to apologize for that. I even forgot this call was on the line. I almost hung up without you.
Yeah, I was on the line for a long time.
I'm sorry about that.
Yes. Hello, Patches?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I I want to say exactly like what the email said about PLP convention today.
Conference.
And that is the whole world now see who's speaking the truth from who is the lawyer. And he don't like it. Every time you see Prime Minister Harris got any press conference, he jump on all the radio station that he could go up and he sing it the next day. Go see if he could patch up with the lawyer them. And one big lawyer he ducking and bobbing and weaving with. Because it's a question, but he using it as a lawyer. You mean to tell me it doesn't matter what journalists ask him the same question about how many passports he saw him do? He telling them go up so by the person ask the person. They don't ask. Is that the person, the other people duty to answer that question? The journalist don't go there to ask he question, and he's supposed to be prepared for anything because he said he's the Prime Minister. He ain't supposed to tell people because he ain't got it and this and that. He's lying to people. But I can tell you something as bad as the farmer, Dr. Douglas be telling lies. Everybody tell lies, but Dr. Douglas, I thought he was the best. But you beat him. You beat Dr. Douglas. He make Dr. Douglas look like a pope. And he's only...
Thanks.
He's only one truth I ever hear Dr. Joe as Prime Minister of the Federation tell in his life. And that is when he said an election can be bought, and that is what happened. That's the truth. That's the only truth he tell, but everything else out him out is a lie. And you could tell when he come with a lie. He talking fast, and he mouth sound like he getting a big lollipop in it so he can't sound the words them properly. Because he coming with a lie. That is all he got for the country.
Okay, my brother.
I could tell him, Dr. Harris, Prime Minister Harris, got him in a lot, and Prime Minister Harris is going to come back as often as possible, and then we're going to hit the streets. If I put in my wheelchair going, and if me alone will have to have a placard, I'm going to have it. Because, he must come out because he got in the wrong, and he ain't serving no purpose progressively in this country. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you very much. Have yourself a good weekend, my brother. Thank you.
Watch your back.
Thank you. And that's the way we're going to end our calls for tonight. Again, I want to apologize for my local callers in particular. There's something not happening with my line, and I do apologize profusely for that. But as we wind down tonight's programming, my Straight Dog family, the country, as we said earlier, highly dependent on our CBI and under pressure from the European countries, European Union countries, I should say, to be exact. And suggestions have come forward rather in relation to the suspension of the program. But something has to be done to ensure that we don't have this sword hanging over our heads. At the political level, the allegations related to the integrity of our CBI program can harm confidence in our very own institutions here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And no matter what you hear guys like Mark Brantley say and the EU this and the EU that, the fact is that how it works for our small countries, it's unfair. Yes, it is. But how would we maneuver this or these iniquities? We boast about the oldest, and of course, we should. But remember how we started and where we are today, my Straight Talk family. But our citizenship, our passports, have become a hot commodity. And we ought to be concerned that the perception of citizenship itself could also be affected. From a policy perspective, the lack of available data on the costs and benefits of our CBI and the uncertainties that carries over the long term for the economy and our society generally can constitute an important obstacle for our design and conduct of long-term sustainable policies. And if we don't make a fundamental change to this critical program of ours called the CBI, just like the sugar industry failed, it will also fail. It's not something we are hoping for, but those are the facts of life. The nonsense we are trying to peddle to justify our 37,000 persons, about 800,000 in Europe. The European population is 8 or 750 million almost. We have 53,000. 53,000. But that's nonsense talk, my Straight Talk family. When we make these illogical comparisons that just don't add up, and these countries do not offer direct citizenship programs, and perhaps these options are some things we perhaps need to look at. We need to look at our legislation more closely as well. But the various scandals that have been unveiled, in particular over the last 17 years, from as way back as 2006, when the State Department, in its report to Congress, spoke about our program. In 2014, the FinCEN advisory followed on the heels of the lifting of our visa-free waiver in Canada. But our CBI program is always exposed, my Straight Talk family, always exposed to and must bear in mind or bear in relation to the integrity of the applicants, money laundering and corruption. The nature of our CBI program will certainly have an impact on the perception of citizenship. The economic logic of target markets like China, well, Russia, at least not now because of the invasion of Ukraine, but China and other Middle Eastern countries. The economic logic of these target markets has replaced the political foundation of citizenship and has now turned citizenship into a commodity. The global market for citizenship status is corrupting our democracy by breaking down the barrier that separates money and power. And we spoke about Brantley in Nevis, who has no problem in ensuring that this billionaire who bought land in Nevis, he demands that he wants to land his luxury jet in Nevis at the Vance Emery International Airport. Even if it means displacing scores of divisions, it doesn't matter. Mark Brantley must give him his wish. Remember that Russian on Penny's beach? We yelled at the school children, born division children on Penny's beach, and tried to stop them from running on their own beach. Public place, public beach. As my Straight Talk family, it's not difficult to conclude when we reflect on the performance of Mark Brantley. It is not difficult to conclude that Mark Brantley is the biggest hypocrite in St. Kitts and Nevis. That's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight, as always. I want to thank you, the callers, and apologize for my local line that had some difficulty. We'll sort it out before Monday, God's willing. I want to thank the emailers. I want to thank you who listen in your thousands. Thank you. On YouTube and our Facebook posse. Thanks for sharing the link. Continue to share the link so we can get people on board. Because here, we bring you the truth, the unvarnished truth, the plain truth. We bring you the facts. We don't make things up. And for those who may have missed it, as I said to you, a colleague of mine shared this, as I said, about our ambassador, who Jew has not told us about. You understand that he will be on some radio station tomorrow. But he was hiding this, my Straight Talk family. He was hiding the fact that a dip note was sent to the missions, all the permanent missions and permanent observer missions to the United Nations in New York, to advise them or to inform them that Her Excellency Neris Dockery, her tour of duty has ended. What is she doing, Dr. Drew? We need to know. Don't tell us about the Minister of Foreign Affairs. No. You are the one, beg your pardon, who has the constitutional authority to appoint ambassadors. And you did appoint Miss Shiverton Dockery. Tell us what is her exact disposition since her tour of duty has ended. There's a diplomatic note. You've heard it first here on Straight Talk. So, as we wrap tonight, I want to thank all of you, the callers, the emailers, and those who just listen. Just remember, you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. I'm Ian Patches Libert, and God's willing, we will connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk. Have yourselves, my Straight Talk family, a wonderful weekend. Do your chores for the weekend. If the weather holds up, yes, nothing's wrong with trying to get to the beach. My Straight Talk family. I am going to church, God's willing, because I want to get my spiritual upliftment. And I do go to the Zion Moravian Church. And for those of you who don't have a home church, you're welcome at Zion, my Straight Talk family. But until we connect on Monday, remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you must believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Monday. Be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. Bye-bye, my Straight Talk family.
When I wake in the morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and loving care, and for my mother's breath of life that's got me here. So whatever my mind conceive that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. Down on my knees, to the Lord I kneel and pray, with my heart and soul, beg Him to take me through each day. My guardian to keep